Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Let's say we have two scenarios where we have to design a process in which we are concentrating or on each and every contact. For example, that the decision that we are making it is not based on the entire process, but on the basis of the data of particular contact, or maybe the engagement of particular contact. Let's say if you're talking about a payment reminder process, what we need to do that before the payment, let's say payment due date for each and every customer, the payment due date would be different, right? Let's say if we have subscribed to Netflix and my Netflix subscription expiration date is, let's say, end of the month. For someone it would be 20th of June. First place for everybody, it would be different. What we are doing is that they are entering into a process and then they are checking whether they are eligible for the payment reminder emails or not. And if they are eligible, they will enter into the journey. Now, once they enter into the journey, we are going to send them the follow-up email or the payment reminder first email. And based on their action after that email, whether they can make the payment or not, we are going to decide that we need to send another email or not. Right. In Journey Builder, we are more concerned about each and every contact that, let's say, you must have seen that we join a lot of webinars. Right. We have free webinar on health or maybe on in the public. But we have different kind of webinars that are running. What they do, that they make us during the free webinar, and after the webinar they send us, couple of email messages that if you want to buy this first, it posts a 5% off or something like that. Now, if you do want to interact with the email combination of the sending process, what will happen? That after some time they will start to stop sending email. And if they're engaging with the email, maybe twice or twice, we are opening the email, we are clicking on some of the links in the email, then they get to know that you are interested and we should keep sending the email to this particular customer. In Journey, we are more concerned about the contact, about the customer, and based on the activity made by the customer or based on the data which is unique to the customer, we are going to design a journey. The journey flow will be decided based on the contact. Whereas in Automation Studio, we saw that it is more based on activity, that we are not concerned about whether this customer did that thing or not. What is the behavior of this customer, right? We are not concerned about the contact of the customer, but concerned about the activity that this needs to be done. In Automation Studio, in a workflow, we have, let's say, 4 activities. We are exporting the data. We are importing the data. We are importing the data, and then using the SQL query, we have processing data. And using email sent activities, we are sending the data. Obviously, we are sending email communication to the service. In that case, what is happening? We have concern that this activity has to be done. In respect to what is the behavior of the contact and for all the contacts who are part of that data extension. For all the customers all the contacts who are part of our data extension. They should send the data. We are not going to decide the behavior of the customer at the time of the sending. Automation is to be used. We are going to use when we are more just about the activity and journey we are going to when you want to treat each contact uniquely, or basically when we want to design the one to enter, you will understand the more differences and the new data. In Automation Studio, we have activities like the text check. I can also, if you want to filter S, Q, L query and on and forth. These activities are not available in Journey Builders. If we have a requirement where we need to use the next type, we need to import the data, where we need to process the data using SQL query, or where we need to do the same information. Then we are going to use Automation Studio versus if we have a requirement like engagement response. Engagement is good. Helps us to split the contacts, or basically it helps us to monitor, evaluate the engagement made by the customer. Let's say if that customer opened the email, then we need to do something else. If that customer clicked the email, then we need to do something else. It gives you a customer to have the capability to evaluate the format. It seems like the tool is fixed. Let's discuss about the Automation Studio itself, and then when it comes to the journey, we understand the mode. Last time, I think we discussed about the E, detect activity, file transfer, import activity type, and then we have also discussed the SQL query activity and all. Today we'll discuss few more activities that we have. Let's look at a new automation. Let's talk about the filter activity first of all. What is the filter activity? You must have seen that. Let me present this type of stuff. But at the time of the discussion, we may in the studio, and then we discussed about the data filter side. We have filtered data extensions. Why do we use data filters? Because we need to filter the data from the data extension. We created an extension and we apply data filter, and then we get filter extension. But there was one problem, that the filter data extension that we have. Let's say in the filter data extension, I had a couple of the reports. System is not going to detect the changes automatically. What do I mean by that is, this is a filter data extension, right? And let's say on the source data extension, this is Amazon customer side. This is the source data extension. If I add one more report to source data extension where city is equals to Hyderabad, Marketing Cloud will not be able to detect the new record automatically and will not add it over here. What do we need to do? We need to complete data extension and manually refresh the data extension, that it basically again runs the filter in the source data extension against this criteria. And now whatever the reports that we have inserted in the source data extension, they will be pulled and they will be filled to the state extension. But let's say we have a master data extension and we need to communicate to all the Hyderabad customers. For that, we have created this filter data extension for good. And we are going to send the email, right? But let's say if you want to do this process every day, then what do we need to do? We need to come to this data extension, manually refresh the data extension and things like that. We don't want that to happen. What we want is that we should, do it via Automation Studio, that whenever we run the automation or whenever we should do the automation on a daily basis, it will automatically refresh the data extension and it will send we will have the filter reports, the latest filter reports of the uploaded data in the filter data extension. Let's see how we can configure this and achieve the same thing. Let's do one thing. We have Let's go for all. In the filter, we are going to specify one condition. That would be let's say save and let's say this and we will say extension. I click on the save button, but till now we have not created a data extension. Now what we are going to do is in the Automation Studio, we are going to click on this and choose button, and then we will create a new filter activity, and what it takes one data filter. We will go over here. We have this filter Hyderabad customers. This is the data filter that we have just created, and then let's give it a new. Hyderabad customers. Filter activity. Now I will click on the next button now. What we need to do is that if you want to create a data extension on the platform, we have to click on this created extension and it will create the filter data extension. That is one way to create a filter data extension. Another way is that we go to the data extension and then there we click on we basically select the filter data extension and then we can feed them. That is another way. Third way, using the Automation Studio is basically as part of this configuration. We will say that you don't need to create a data extension on your own. You just have to provide a name and then we create a data extension for you as well. And then whatever the reports that will be filtered based on the criteria, we will put all those reports into the filter data extension. We are just going to give it a new I will say automatic. This is the Nemo data extension that will be created in the same location as the source data extension. I would flip on the next and click on Finish. Now what will happen? When we execute this definition, it will basically execute that data field that we have defined over there. And then whatever the eligible ins, they will be put into the state extension automatically. Let's do one thing. Let's click on the Save button. And we click on Run one. Click on the Run button. This is Deep Wilson plane. Let's refresh this thing. Basically, how many customers we should expect. Filter data extension. Let's see the source data extension. Only, right. Only, there is only one customer. Unless it is used to head to the back. What will happen once the automation is complete? It will fill it out and it will, one will fill it out and fill it out. And that extinction. Next thing, what we are going to do is that we are going to add one record like once it is filtered, and then we will add one report to the source data extension, and then we will see whether it is able to detect the changes of block time. We are going to finish the changes to start. Thank you. Let's do one thing. Let's get another automation. Let's do one thing. Now we are going to choose the same field, activity that we had to create different. This is the filter activity that we have created. I am going to set it this one. Click on Save. And then I am going to run once. click on this one and click on button. Then no. Remember to confirm you have described E.D. Levy, Lala, by Tree Love and Forrester Plays. Let's charge you control. Now listen to Barotopy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The thing is that once it is completed, we will get the record here in the data extension, and then, like we can see that, here we have the record. Whenever we want to filter out the records and we want this data extension to be refreshed automatically, what we can do? We can use this filter activity to filter out the records from the master data extension to the filter data extension. Let's go to the next activity. The next we have a fire event. Fire event we will talk about, and we will discuss about the journey. I don't know what has happened with this. Fire event activity basically helps us to keep up the journey from the automation studio. But before that, we need to discuss some things in the journey that we can understand the concept better. A fire event activity. I will explain you when we will discuss about this journey. And these are the activities that we have for audience builder. We want to be able to discuss these. And these also are not generally used. And then we have a refresh group. Similar to the filter activity, we have a refresh group. What it will do? We will basically refresh them. When I will create a group, what happens is that we are getting the request. But if we add any of the record in the source list, that is, the changes are not being detected by the system. What we need to do? Either we have to manually refresh the group, or what we need to do, that down. I'm sure. Or we can use this activity to refresh them. We hope on issue 2 basis. Let's say we have all these groups, and let's say we have 3 reports on the here. And the criteria is that based on the activity is equals to maybe gender, something is equals to me. And then we are getting all these reports. Once we add the report to the source list, which is newsletters from there, then what will happen? It will not be detected. We then have to refresh it manually. We need to refresh this. We just need to click on this choose button and then select any other group that we want to refresh. I'll choose. Let's see. What will happen now is that once I run this, it will basically refresh the circle. We talked about the S-Clippery activity. S-Clippery activity we will talk about when we will discuss the SSJs. Here we can write our SSJs code. Next activity we have a send email. This is the activity that we can use to send the email communication out to the customers. Let's see how we can configure the email activity in Automation Studio. We click on the State New Send Email activity. Here we are creating the definition to send out the email. What all things are required to send the email? We are going to configure it on in this definition. First thing we need to send the email is the message itself. We are going to send the message as what is to be delivered. Let's go ahead and select the message. Let's see this one and with the next button, and here we have to give it a name. Let's see. This is the name of the activity that I'm creating, and then where I want to save this activity in this user initiative folder, and then the subject line which is pre-populated. And if you want to give an EP or something like that. And in the properties, we can also define the same classification. Here we have all the same classification that we had created. We can choose any of the same classification to send out the email. Click on the next button and then we need to choose the paid extension or targeted extension. Let's see. We are going to choose the Amazon customers as our targeted extension. The email communication will be sent to all these customers. If you want to exclude any of the subscriber or you want to sub this any subscriber, then what we can do? We can just type and drop the respective data extension. And all the subscribers that are there in the data extension will be excluded from this email center. And if you want to CC somebody, BC somebody, we can do that as well. And then this is the other thing. Here we can choose the audience and then we can send them. Next one, we have a computer delivery. If you want to configure the delivery window that from this time to this time, the email of the organization should be sent outside this window. The email will not be sent. Next, we have the R literature short. R literature short means that in 1 hour, only these many emails will be sent. Let's say we have 1,000 emails and we set the R literature short as 500. What will happen? Marketing will break the end time into 2 batches. In the first batch, first 500 customers will be sent the email. The entire process will happen in 2 hours. And then we have attract links. Certain send out data that we have already talked about multiple times. And then we have multi-part MyMe to make sure that both the versions of the email message are filled with HTML and the text version. We can click on the next button now and then we have to submit. Here we need to confirm that everything is good. And if everything is good, We can click on the checkbox and we can click on the finish button. What will happen? Now we have configured all the things. We have configured the audience. We have configured the email message to the sent classification on everything. Whenever we execute this activity, the email will be sent. The selected email will be sent to the selected audience. Right. Using the send classification that we have selected. Let me click on the save button now. This activity is also complete. Let's go back here and let's go to the data extensions. We can see one data extension have been added. I'm going to add this report, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to click the city as a third batch. But this report will not be added here automatically. Right, in the state extension. What we need to do, either we have to manually refresh or we can run this activity. I'm going to see that how we can run this activity again, and then it will again basically run that filter and pull all the eligible results. Let's run this. Meanwhile, this is executed. Let's take a look at the other activities that we should. Now let me ask you one question. But let's see. We are going to send one email right in our automation studio. And in the email, in the send email activity, we have to select the audience's name. Now there could be a possibility that the data extension that we have selected at some point of time, it has got 0 reports and they're sending the email. It doesn't make any sense. Right? If you're sending the email to 0 subscribers, it would be a good idea that if we have activity which we can use to verify the number of the reports that we have in data extension, and then only we proceed to the next activity. That if you do not have the data, we should not be wasting the resources or we should not be executing the next step too. You want to do that. We have activity called verification of the. This is executed and they will refresh the detection to see whether we have put the reports on. As we can see now, we have put reports here. We can see that we have. We can see that we have this verification activity, and what it does is that it basically verifies the count. Now, what is the count? You know that it verifies. It verifies the number of reports on that data extension. If the number of reports on that data extension, matches the criteria or matches the number of reports that we have defined over here. If we have this data extension, then it will say that verification is passed. Otherwise, verification fails. Let's do this thing. We have this data extension, or let me pick another data extension for now. Data extension that we have selected in the email. Data extension that is Amazon customers. Data. We already know that it has got 4 reports, but let's see if it is. If you are importing the data into this data extension, there might be a possibility that we have 0%. And we say that if the count of the reports in the data extension is equals to 0, then what it should do? We have two actions. Either we can stop the automation or we can send the email notification to somebody to notify them that the automation has been stopped. And they're saying because they were the 0 reports in the data extension. Let's take a scenario that we are building this automation. And what we are doing is that, first of all, we are using our import activity to import the data into a data extension. And in the second step, we are using this in this activity to send out the email. Now, for some reason, maybe there's another team was just possible to import the data into the data extension in Marketing Cloud. Now, for some reason, they forgot, or maybe they could not import the data into the data extension. Now, the customers will not receive the email because there is no data. Even if you will run the email send activity, the customer will not receive any email because there is no data in the data extension. Now, as a client or maybe as a campaign manager, I want to be notified whenever any situation like this occurs. I want to be notified for this situation that the automation tried to send out the email, but it could not because they were not recording the data extension. That I can analyze further that what was the reason, why did it happen, and things like that. It helps us do in two ways. First of all, it will stop the automation that we don't run the unwanted activities or we don't the subsequent activities unnecessarily. And the second thing that it helps us to notify the recipient that this is something that has happened, that you know that person can take the data from the detection. Now the count is 0, but we already know that the count is 4, right? In order to make the condition true, what we need to do, we will just mention the count is 4. For the sake of, or maybe let me take another data extension where the count is 0. Let me see. Amazon Prime customer has got 0 repost. Let me see if we can pick up that data extension. Let's say we are targeting this data extension in our email send. And we say if the count is 0, then button is to be done. Then it will still stop the automation. And we can also send the notification to the recipient. For now, I am just showing you that how we can stop the automation. And then you can try sending in the email notification to your email address as well. Click on the next button and then we have the summary. Click on the finish button. Now what will happen once we done this activity? We will see that the verification will be this activity when you stop the automation. Let's click on the save button. And click on the run once. We will click on the verification activity and I also want to exit the send in activity. But since the count is 0 in this particular data extension and we are verified that the count is 0 or 1. Now, if the condition holds true, then it will stop the automation. If it stops the automation, then it will not execute the staff number 4. Let's click on the run button now and let's click on run now. And we will go to the activity to see the progress of the automation. As we can see that the moment we run it, it has been installed by the verification activity. And it says that data extension Amazon Prime customers report count is 0. And that is why we did not allow the customers to move ahead and run the step number 4. Now let's say if the condition does not hold true. Let me drag and drop any other activity which will not affect anything. For 1 minute, we are having this new activity over here. And what I want to do, that I want to change the data extension over here. If I will say, I am going to pick any other data extension. Let's say Amazon customer screen. And here I will say the condition will remain same. That if the count is equal to 0, then stop the automation. Otherwise, proceed to the next activity. I will click on the finish button now. And then we will save the changes and run the automation down. Now what is the expectation? That since the condition will not hold true, it will allow the automation to move ahead. And then it will run the step number 4 as well. Let's click on the run button now. And then click on run now. And let's see whether it is allowing us to do that. It is not started yet. Let's refresh let's say the verification activity is complete. And since we had 4 reports, the condition did not hold true. And then it allowed the automation to move ahead. Next we have a wait activity. Wait activity basically, it just goes to a closer delay for some duration. Let's say we have 2 activities over here. SMS. SMS we are not able to see over here. But we do have SMS activities. Or maybe let's say once we send the email activity and we want to send another email activity after 1 hour, what we can do? That we will have this email activity over here and we will have wait activity for 1 hour. Let's say we have this email activity and then we will have a wait for 1 hour and then we can send another email activity. Whenever you want to close a delay between or whenever you want to, close a delay between 2 different activities or one will have a wait between 2 activities. Then we can move this wait activity. Basically it will run for 1 hour and then it will another automation to move ahead and then in the next step and here we can see the health of the automation. It says the most percentage of the success and the most percentage of the error. We have not any error. It says, and all the automations are completed successfully. It says 100% successful. In the notification settings, we can put an email address. In case of the automation is, parried out or they skipped, then we will get notified. For customer, we have almost covered all the activities. In the Automation Studio, we will be talking about the fire event activity and the script activity, at least at the point of time. One more thing I want to discuss is that in Email Studio, you will initiate a sends, right? At the time of the discussion, different types of sends. The user initiated sends. These are nothing, but you will means and activity on with, right? We just created this sending activity called the send. Well, right? We'll be able to see the same user initiative, send email has been created here. At the time of creating this, we used to have the email, but we would not have this automation. And later on, after the enhancement, we came up with automation, sudo and do. Whatever we will do over here, this can be accessed here as well. In the back end, it is only one asset. It is only one definition. Part of it is just that we are able to access this from two different places, and it has got two names. If you are accessing this from the email, we call it as a user initiative. If we use, and if you are accessing the same message or definition from the automation, then it will be hold an activity. We are accessing this. We can change the name, but in the back end, it is the same definition. It is only single definition. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.